Something major is happening today. Trump's own voters are turning against him in ways we have not seen before, ways we have not seen in the first term, and ways we have not seen until now in this second term. His own voters are furious at him, thinking that he is more focused on Great Gatsby themed parties than he is on helping the economy and helping those, especially the most vulnerable in America's society, to ensure that they can afford the cost of groceries, the cost of living, and even be able to have access to basic benefits like SNAP and other food assistance. So today, a new CNN poll came out that showed that Donald Trump's approval rating is now down to just 37%. His disapproval rating is up to 63%. That's the highest it's ever been. Just for perspective, back on January 6, 2021, CNN's poll had Donald Trump at 62% disapproval on the day of the January 6th insurrection. Years later, he's now at 63% disapproval, and it's climbing. And while real stories from on-the-ground people demonstrate that this disapproval is real, because it's impacting Republicans, Democrats, and independents across America. A new NBC News report where reporters interviewed a woman named Hannah Stretzer. She's a 26-year-old Buffalo area resident. She says that she had type 1 diabetes since she was 10 years old. She now has a mental health disorder that prevents her from working. The $300 she receives from SNAP benefits each month is essentially a livelihood. It ensures that she can maintain her blood sugar levels. She told NBC, quote, "I need these benefits for my food. If I don't get the food, I won't be able to control my numbers. If you don't get it taken care of, you can lose toes or limbs or could go blind." She said it's scary. Hannah is one of more than 40 million Americans who rely on SNAP benefits every single month to ensure that they can afford to live. Hannah's mom, Betty, 63 years old, she's a recent retiree and a caretaker for her daughter. She is a longtime supporter of Donald Trump. Now she is losing confidence in the president. She told NBC News, quote, "I think deep down he wants to help the country with things like food insecurity. But now he is busy out of the country and demolishing the White House. I know that this is being paid for with private funds, but those could be used to help people. It all seems very selfish." She now says that she regrets voting for Donald Trump in 2024, would prefer a Democrat in the White House because, quote, "to protect benefits he," referring to Donald Trump, "wants to cut." This is real. And we're seeing more and more Trump supporters turn on him. Because right now, the United States government is in day 33 of a government shutdown. And while Donald Trump argues that the United States economy is doing great because the stock market is doing great, it really is a testament to how poorly the United States economy actually is doing when the stock market is hitting record high and people like Hannah can't afford to maintain her blood sugar levels because she can't receive.
All right, check it out. If Donald Trump wasn't panicked after watching Republicans get blown out in race after race after race last night, then he is certainly panicked after this clip of Bret Baier showing him a message from one of Trump's own voters. And this voter said, "Hey, Mr. President, I voted for you, but prices are not going down. It's getting worse. We are all struggling out here," and essentially says, "Please help us, President Trump." Well, Trump has no way to respond to this on air other than further gaslighting and saying, prices are down. Prices have lowered. And this is indicative of a huge problem for the Republican Party because Donald Trump ran on immediately lowering prices, on quote-unquote affordability, yet he has ditched that message over the past 9 months, screwed Americans over with SNAP benefits, screwed Americans over on health care, screwed the most vulnerable Americans over on Medicaid, and even all of that to the side. He still has no answer. He has no plan, and he's now worried because Zohran Mamdani won the New York City mayoral race basically with just one core thesis. Affordability is key. And now Trump has spent the past 24 hours using the word affordability more than I've ever heard him use it. I'm not even joking. It's like a meme at this point. He sent out a post just an hour ago. It says, "Walmart announced that prices for Thanksgiving dinner are down since sleepy, crooked Joe Biden." I like how he put sleepy and crooked Joe Biden, like he couldn't choose which one is better there. But he then says, affordability in all caps. Affordability is a Republican stronghold. In this clip right here, he talks more about affordability. He uses that specific word because he knows that Zohran is crushing him. All right, let me show you this clip where Bret Baier is like, "Yo, Trump, your supporters don't seem to believe that prices are going down. This seems to be a pretty bad situation, and let's see what
Republicans do." Remember, we beat Trump in 2018 with the sweeping midterms that Republicans have not had. Republicans have not had nearly as successful midterms as the Democrats had in 2018 under Trump. We beat Trump in 2020, kicked his ass. We flipped 2 red Republican Trump-supporting Senate seats in Georgia, flipped them, both of them, in the control of Democrats now. We did fairly well, all things considered, in the 2022 midterms. Remember, everyone was expecting there's going to be a red wave, and there wasn't. It was more like a pinkish trickle, right? We actually expanded our Senate majority in the 2022 midterms. We won a bunch of off-year elections. We beat Trump's, handpicked candidate, the Elon Musk-backed candidate in the 2023 Wisconsin Supreme Court race, extremely important. So again, I want to be clear. Democrats are capable of winning elections, and Trump knows that. That's why he's trying to gerrymander his way into a majority ahead of 2026, because he knows, all else being equal, and we'll talk about this in a separate video, he's going to get his ass kicked again in the 2026 midterm. So again, just to be clear, Democrats have their faults, but we can and have won elections, and we can and have beaten Trump before. He's trying to rig the game in his favor, and that's why he's saying, change the filibuster, let us do that, okay? I will point out, too, as far as packing the court, I think Democrats should absolutely expand the court. I've said this before, and I'll say this again, that if Democrats don't deal with the Supreme Court, we are truly screwed, because remember, the Supreme Court has the ability to strike down any federal law as unconstitutional, in theory, right? So let's say in 2028, you get a Democratic president, you get a Democratic Senate, and you get a Democratic House. None of that guaranteed. And let's say, as President Biden did, you manage to successfully pass a law. Any law, about anything. Just imagine, okay? Whatever your pet issue is, whatever is the issue most important to you. Let's say it gets through the House, gets through the Senate, and the president, Democratic president, signs it into law. Well, Republicans could challenge it. It could be reviewed by a 6-3 conservative supermajority and then get struck down. And there's not a damn thing we can do about that. The only thing that you can do that is non-justiciable, non-reviewable by the Supreme Court is a constitutional amendment. And that's never going to happen, because you would need 2/3 of both the House and the Senate and three quarters of the states. We are never going to get a constitutional amendment. So the only way to deal with this, if you are a liberal, if you're a progressive, if you're just a left-leaning moderate, if you are a sane person who recognizes this Republican Party has become incredibly dangerous and you want to get the hell away from their policies, you're going to have to expand the court, because this court will never allow a Democratic agenda, a sane agenda, to survive. Okay? So when he says pack the court, again, to revisit it, no, we would be expanding the court. And again, as I've said before, the court has been expanded and shrank throughout the court's history. President John Adams, on his way out the door, shrank the Supreme Court, shrank it, in order to deny President Thomas Jefferson Supreme Court appointees. When Jefferson's party won the midterms and gave Jefferson an allied Congress, they expanded the court. These are founding fathers expanding and shrinking the size of the court for political reasons. So there's a history of this. It's not set in stone. It's not written, on divine tablets that the Supreme Court can only be 9. No. It's expanded and shrank.
Donald Trump is losing his mind after the blue wave, no, the blue tsunami took over the United States as Democrats won coast to coast in Virginia, in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in Georgia, in Minnesota, in New York City, in California. You name the location, Democrats won big. MAGA Republicans got destroyed. So what was Donald Trump doing all last night? The cope was real, folks. Here's what he was posting. And so it begins, he writes. And so it begins. Ooh, very cryptic, Donald. Then Donald Trump posts, Trump wasn't on the ballot, and shutdown were the 2 reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight, according to pollsters. So your government shutdown, that you and MAGA Mike are depriving Americans of their SNAP benefits, 42 million Americans losing SNAP benefits. You're taking away health insurance for over 20 million Americans, gutting Medicaid, but you're going to blame it on others? No, this was a massive repudiation of you, but it was also Democrats with different approaches and different tactics, but talking about affordability and the types of issues that actually matter to the American people, not these MAGA culture wars where they focus on pee-pee and poo-poo and whatever the hell they're talking about to try to divide us, but Democrats talking about the economy and jobs and not just paying people a living wage, but having people be paid a wage with dignity, and talking about having people be able to afford homes, and talking about the issues that matter and healthcare and the issues that matter to the American people. Then Donald Trump goes, pass voter reform, voter ID, no mail-in ballots, save our Supreme Court from packing, no 2-state addition, etc. Terminate the filibuster! Exclamation point. So post after post after post. Then Donald Trump goes, Republicans, terminate the filibuster. Get back to passing legislation and voter reform. President DJT. Dude, you ordered MAGA Mike to order all the MAGAs in the House of Representatives not to show up to work. The MAGA Republicans have shut down the House of Representatives for the past, 102, 103 days. There have only been 12 days where the House of Representatives has been open because you've ordered MAGA Mike, cover up the Epstein files, shut down the government, shut down the House. So MAGA Republican Congress members are making all of the money that they're getting all of the benefits, while they're not even freaking working and covering up the Epstein files for you. What did Hakeem Jeffries call it? The Pedo Protection Program? The PPP? The PPP? That's what it's about with these MAGA freaking Republicans. Then Donald Trump posts this last night. I kid you not, real post. He goes, just out. The 60 Minutes interview of Donald J. Trump on CBS Sunday night was the highest rated 60 Minutes in years. You're talking about the interview where you were asked by Norah O'Donnell,
Trump world is imploding as a top MAGA member just publicly revolted. That's right. Every day, more and more people are getting absolutely fed up with Donald Trump. People are absolutely fed up. And we're now seeing more and more fire from the Democrats, and it should absolutely terrify Republicans. Trump world implodes as a top MAGA member just publicly revolted. That's right. Take a look at today's top story.